Hey guys, we have a new week of astrology to talk about. Of course, we are in the heights of energetic intensity right now. We have had an ongoing exact Mars-Pluto opposition playing out for the past 4 days straight, November 1st through November 4th. This very power struggle, contention, confrontation-oriented energy has been going on. So you may have experienced some of that playing out there for you. And as we begin our week this week, we do still have that in effect as our primary aspect. However, on Monday, Mars does break this exact opposition, leave the sign of Cancer, enter the sign of Leo. We've got a big vibe shift going on to start our week as well. And we're going to talk about that. But Mars in the sign of Leo, especially 0 degrees of Leo, this is definitely bringing some firepower and can find a bit of issue with self-restraint. So there could really be some people experiencing some like fits of rage. There could be some anger issues going on out there. And the third thing that we have primarily happening this week, the way that I'm seeing it, is there's a Venus-Jupiter opposition happening. Now, this is generally quite a lovely energy. Maybe, you know, our hopes are high, like things are looking okay out there. But the moon will be joining Venus actually in the sign of Sagittarius, opposing Jupiter to start our week. Be careful like overcommitting or overpromising. Things are definitely going to be taking a bit of a turn as the energy of next week comes in. Overall, I feel like this week is kind of like the eye of the storm type of energy. There are not like a tremendous amount of transits happening. But again, like we are coming out of some very critical and intense and potent, powerful like energy that's been ongoing this past week and this past couple of weeks. Next week also with the full moon in Taurus, that is going to be another week about like power and control and shocking sudden change. So I have the storm this week, you guys. Still, we have a lot to talk about. Let's get into our report of the day. Let's put all of this together and try to discern where we're at as we get our week started. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Monday, November 4th, 2024. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day where we are narrating the shift of the ages. And if you guys stick with me until the end of this report, I have done a collective tarot reading for us today as well. I like to tap the energy field for more than one modality whenever I'm doing these energy overviews, just to get an additional energetic perspective on what's going on out there. So there could be some messages in there for you. We're going to do that at the end. Let's start with the astrology, you guys. 3 things that you should know and be aware of this week. Number 1, this Mars-Pluto opposition still holding strong, although it is breaking by sign and will be no longer exact as of the energy of Monday. I will say these top 3 things that I'm looking at this week are pretty much all happening on Monday. As we move through the week, things do like taper off in terms of the activations that are going on. We are going to have a moon-Pluto opposition that's going to hit in Capricorn for the last time for like 250 years. So that's coming this week. As we move through the week, Venus will also move into a square with Neptune. That could be more of this relationship breakdown. Things could bring some like disappointment or kind of things falling flat, maybe like something, our vision maybe not working out the way that we thought it would or wanted it to, especially considering we start the week with the Venus-Jupiter opposition. So things might be looking good, like hopes might be kind of high. There might be a little bit of a shift in that and like a little bit of a depression or a deflated energy that comes through as we move through the week. But really, I feel like the main kind of like energetic wave that we are riding this week has a lot to do with what is going on in the early part of the week, specifically on Monday. So we know that we still have this Mars-Pluto dynamic going on. That, of course, is definitely bringing the heat itself. That if we've talked, if you guys have been following the channel, talked about this over my last several videos, and generally sort of the change of guard that this is representing between the past and the future, the way that things have been done and who's been in charge, and the transition that is essentially energetically underway right now to who is coming into power and like how things are going to be done going forward. This Mars-Pluto opposition at 29 degrees of Cancer and Capricorn has been bringing to a head like the powers that be, like the established order of power, and power to, of, and for the people, essentially, in a way that is going to lead to some type of like global revolution and change on a macrocosm level. On a microcosm level, we're all probably going to experience an element of like life-changing something in our, you know, even our personal lives or our relationship, career, lifestyle, you know, any area of life, wherever this particular energy is hitting the hardest for you, activating your chart and leading to this awakening and transformation. That's what's at the core of this. We have universe has activated great awakening, and all of us are going to awaken on some level, internally or externally, deep within us, or in terms of the way we act and behave in the world, that needs to be altered or adjusted in order to essentially move us forward in some new direction somehow, even if we're not even conscious that it's happening or that we're doing it. Okay, nobody essentially is immune from this, although it may not be discernible to everybody or even to ourselves if we are not consciously aware of this process being underway. So very significant and important times that we're moving through right now from an energetic perspective, definitely going to be reflected back to us in terms of what is manifesting, transpiring, and happening in our lives and on the world stage at this period of time. So that's a big one. That Mars-Pluto energy, it is breaking apart right now over the course of this week or so and next week. This intensity that and the just things pitted up against each other that maybe have been causing a bunch of issues or that have just been very prominent for us in some way during this period of time should begin to wane to some extent over this next couple of weeks. And it will, like, whatever was trying to emerge is going to emerge more so now and moving forward, and whatever we've been like struggling to release ourselves from or to overcome or to that has just been breaking down somehow is, I think, now going forward, especially with the Mars entering Leo now, and we're going to talk about that. Mars is setting up actually in a mutual reception with the Sun in Scorpio, who's an exact trine to Saturn retrograde in Pisces today. It's so funny how this dynamic is playing out with Mars coming out of the 4-day activation exactly opposite Pluto while being in Cancer at that 29 critical degree. Now, immediately following that, Mars enters the sign of Leo. But not only does Mars enter the sign of Leo, the Sun, of course, also happens to be in the sign of Scorpio, exactly trine Saturn retrograde. The Sun in Scorpio trine Saturn retrograde in Pisces, that is more of this energy, this facilitation, this like universal support to break down, to erode, to wash away these false beliefs or these structures or these just essentially the maybe like false foundations or whatever our belief systems and our paradigm and our lives and our view of reality and everything has been built upon maybe throughout the entire course or duration of our lives, but that has in some way not been real, not been true, or preventing us or blocking us from like seeing things clearly or seeing ourselves clearly or being able to like do life in a way that supports our own personal growth and path to activating our potential, aligning with a path to self-actualization right now. Like that is a universal push. So any like toxic negative subconscious programming or faulty relationships or limiting beliefs, anything essentially that we have been attached to or ingrained with or enmeshed with that has been like altering or just misconstruing or distorting essentially like our perception of ourselves, our potential, our personal power. This is what universe is urging us and potentially forcing us to let go of, to remove ourselves from, or could just generally be breaking down. There's also a potential for a lot of like emotional release. People could be very, very emotional in the energy right now, but because of that mutual reception with Mars, and also the sun being in Scorpio. This is also with the sun in Scorpio in the trine to Saturn retrograde. Saturn is the control structures, it limits, it restrains, it's foundations, it forms, okay? So it's the rules that we follow. So when Saturn is retrograding, first of all, this can be a breakdown in authority, a breakdown in rules, a breakdown in tradition. And then we put it in the sign of Pisces as well. Pisces washes things away, and it's sort of like the opposite force to that which forms in structures. You know, it erodes, it deteriorates, it breaks things down. So Saturn retrograding in the sign of Pisces to me is going to represent a period of time where there is a breakdown in authority, a breakdown in tradition. This is also, Saturn is the past and Saturn is karma as well. And so, you know, I've been saying when we add that transit and what that energy brings to the fact that we've also got Pluto, the destroyer at 29 degrees of the sign of Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, which is the establishment, which is the control systems. Those two energies, the fact that they're happening in combination right now, just as Pluto is about to begin the Aquarius transit, and the fact that we are in this transition of ages right now into the age of Aquarius, it seems to be representing the end of the established power and control dynamics that have essentially reigned throughout the course of the past 2,000 years, throughout the course of the age of Pisces that we are transitioning out of right now itself. That was the most condensed, you know, during this probably past 16-year Pluto through Capricorn transit that we are also being released from right now as well. So I mean to say that I just find it very like ironic. It's like a twofer, you know what I mean? Like we had this 4-day opposition between Pluto and Mars at 29 degrees. Like that was the breakthrough point. Like that is the breakthrough energy. Then come Monday, we hit the mutual reception. Mars in Leo, Sun in Scorpio, blending fusion of this super potent, like masculine firepower, warrior, gusto, like, you know, that type of energy, directed and facilitated in the context of now the trine, this water sign trine between the sun in Scorpio, what we're finding out, what's being exposed, what's being uncovered, Mars ruling Scorpio in the sign of Leo, like shining the light into the darkness. What we're finding there is like firing up the divine masculine, like this inner warrior spirit, the blending of the sun and Mars in the exact trine on Monday to Saturn, which represents the old world, the old establishment, the old order and power and control dynamics, which is already breaking down and being exposed because of its like weak footing, retrograde in the sign of Pisces. And then the fact that this is happening the day after a 4-day Mars-Pluto opposition that's not gonna and Capricorn that won't happen for another 250 years. And this is happening also like right pretty much preceding that moon. I said later this week the moon will come into a conjunction with Pluto as well for the last time for like 250 years in the sign of Capricorn. So there is definitely like a major energetic function of this week is more of this facilitation of the breakdown of the past through this like light-based infusion, like this restoration or return of the light, or this like rebalancing of like divine feminine, divine masculine energy somehow that is recreating and like coming in this creative force that is like lighting everything up and I don't know, fighting for the future essentially. And it brings us back to the same exact dynamic that we've been talking about, that is like humanity's quest to overcome the forces of tyranny and oppression coming from the like remnants of an age where humanity essentially was enslaved to a power external from themselves. We are going through this process of conscious evolution right now, you guys, where we're taking our power back. That's a major part of this as well. been talking about that as well, because the North Node has also been transiting the sign of Aries, ruled by Mars. That's another layer and dimension to it as well. This has been a 1.5-year process since not this past summer, but the summer before that, when the North Node Destiny and the South Node Karma entered the signs of Aries and Libra. And this has been a process of going through a personal, essentially, hero's journey. Taking our power back and learning to become the leader of our own destiny, essentially a lesson that's been coming through the past 1.5 years. So if you have been on that learning path as well, that's where universe is leading us right now. So very impactful, even though we don't have just, the universe is not just like raining down transits upon us this week as we have had going on recently, but there is this motivation, probably just kind of like inherent in people and situations, to uncover, destroy, purge, and transform old systems and control, ways and means, and methods, and also beliefs that are dysfunctional, that are broken, that are corrupt, or that are overly oppressive in some type of way. That's just the whole way that energy is flowing right now. It's like, it doesn't matter what like day of the week it is right now, or what transit specifically we have going on. They're all this repeating pattern in different ways that is being expressed. So that's the bullseye. That's where we're at. It's this karmic cycle breaking energy. Saturn, of course, in this trine on Monday with the sun, rules karma, the past, generations, bloodlines. Like, these are serious transitions of power that are redefining legacies and redefining, well, you know, where the power is held and the collective, essentially, human story moving forward. We even actually have Saturn, like, who is in the trine with the sun on Monday, who is at this weakened position right now, ruling where Pluto is at 29 Capricorn, just representing the downfall of these established orders of power. The Sabian symbol 13 Pisces, where he is right now, is an ancient sword used in many battles, now rests in a museum. So even the symbolic placement of Saturn is referring to retiring that which was powerful and that which did control destinies, but that which is no longer a powerful source of anything, the way that things are moving going forward, and is more just a remnant of a past time than something that is useful and productive in creating time moving forward. So I think that it's interesting that we have Saturn at that degree. We also have the sun at 13 degrees of Scorpio on Monday. That Sabian symbol is an inventor performs a laboratory experiment. And on Tuesday, the 5th, we will have the sun at 14 Scorpio. That Sabian symbol is telephone linesman at work installing new connections. So the sun, while in the trine to Saturn at the degree about the ancient sword used in many battles, the weapons that used to be used, you know, what used to control things, now rests in a museum. We, on the flip side of that, have energy that's talking about an inventor performing a laboratory experiment that is very Aquarian, like future-oriented energy, and telephone linesman busy at work installing new connections. Another energy that, or symbol that to me is kind of like representative of this new Aquarian energy that's coming in. So even the trine and the symbolic placement where the sun and Saturn are coming together are talking about the end of an old age and reign of power that is on display for all to see now, while there's this upgrade that's going on, this inventive spirit that's coming online, and these new connections that are being made. So I found that to be of particular note as well, just symbolism matching up with exactly these repeating patterns while they're playing out and repeating themselves. This week, because of the less amount of activity, it could be a bit just kind of like less busy or chaotic. I would say less dramatic, but I really hesitate to say that because Mars is entering the sign of Leo, and with Mars in the sign of Leo, Mars brings the drama, really like provokes drama specifically, so things may or may not be less dramatic just because we may have less going on. Less crucial transits happening, but passions probably running equally high, and tension, of course, is still very maxed out with the Mars-Pluto opposition, even though it is now out of sign. So everything really this week, like I said, is happening to start our week, and then we're just sort of like riding on that vibe as we go through the week. I just personally am having a hard time getting over how we go from this Mars-Pluto opposition, which is like the battle is on, to the Mars-Sun mutual reception in Scorpio and Leo in the exact trine to Saturn. It's like the battle has been on over the past 4 days, like the war has been waging, but now that we have this trine, because trines facilitate things, that's the universe like helping things to happen, assisting things to happen, facilitation, support. Like there's like an opening for things to kind of fall into place when we have trines operating. So whatever came to a head in the energy of Monday and moving through this week, it's like now the downfall is being initiated or being facilitated. And in the context of Mars and the Sun contesting with literally like Saturn and Pluto, it's Mars and the Sun because they're in mutual reception with each other, and it's Saturn and Pluto because Saturn's ruling the position of Pluto in Capricorn right now. It really, again, is just this other expression of the light and the human willpower and like the will to live and thrive and succeed and overcome, coming up against, but overcoming the powerful forces that would seek to limit, repress, or control the human spirit. Saturn and Pluto, the old limiting control systems and what we've been enslaved to and what we've been attached to. It can even, like, it doesn't even have to be like people, you know what I mean? Like, it can literally be belief systems. Like, it can be addictions, you know, it can be relationships. It could be even like money or something like that, you know what I mean? So this could be playing out in a very, again, like internalized personal way, or it could literally be playing out in terms of some mass spectacle that is unfolding on the world stage. It really has everything to do with our personal perception of reality and the bubble that we live in and our relationship with the world around us and reality itself. So, yeah, it should be, I would say, quite an interesting week, but there is this liberation in the context of the human spirit and the forces that may have repressed it, limited it, or held it back in some way in the past. This is also a very, very creative energy week. We have both Mars and Venus in fire signs right now. Venus is in Sagittarius, of course, opposing Jupiter. That's a big energy right there. And then very passionate energy on Venus's part as well. And then with Mars and Leo also very fired up. So with Mars and Venus both in fire signs, this is a very potently creative energy. There is a lot of energy about destruction out there, but the more that we can gear and orient ourselves in the creative expression of this energy, even if we have to go through perhaps a destructive phase to clear the way for the creative energy to come through, that should be the goal. Creation should be the goal here, not destruction for the purpose of destruction. If there's destruction going on, it needs to be for the purpose of either liberation or creation. So, you know, maybe keep that in mind in whatever you got going on out there. But people are probably, I would say, going to be quite impassioned, therefore fired up to take a stand against something, or demonstrating some type of passionate feelings or dramatic actions for sure as we start the week this week. Another indication of this, you guys, is Jupiter's placement right now. Jupiter recently stationed retrograde in Gemini at 21 degrees of Gemini. That Sabian symbol is a tumultuous labor demonstration, which of course is right in alignment with these kind of like rebelling and revolutionary vibes that we've got going on. And Jupiter is an energy of expansion. Jupiter in Gemini has to do with what we're learning, discovering, and figuring out. The Sun in the sign of Scorpio, mutual reception with Mars. This is also the light shining into the shadows, what we're figuring out, and how it is breaking down the old reality, the old foundation, the old world somehow. I don't know, guys, but that's just what this is looking like. Now, Mars in the sign of Leo, this is going to orient energy around loyalty, pride, passion, ego and the self, but it's also strength and motivation and courage, creativity, and it is a very self-empowering energy. Generally, people who have Mars and Leo don't struggle with a sense of self-confidence. You know, maybe they have Mars retrograde in Leo, but it has a tendency of being just a very like self-confidence giving, self-empowering feel or dynamic. So turning on the light within, especially with the sun, Scorpio, Mars, what is it? Mars and Leo dynamic that we have going on. There could be some inner illumination that is happening right now that is what is like that light bulb going off that is, you know, opening our eyes or acting as a catalyst or something to maybe the changes that are going on right now. But the lion, you guys, is likely to be roaring this week. I mean, Leo is the sign of the lion. When we've got Mars there, that is the like prime time, like male lion with the big mane roaring in all of his pride and glory. So people are going to be fiercely loyal, fiercely defensive, very passionate. You know, you think of the lion, the big lion, the head lion in the group of lions out there. I'm not exactly the alpha lion, whatever they're called. That is the vibe, okay? That people are going to be probably like strutting or just feeling or embodying or carrying, or that is just firing them up. People could just be roaring somehow, okay? And as I said, Venus and Mars both in fire signs. Mars and the mutual reception with the sun, also Venus and Sag opposite Jupiter. All of these things are enhancing the fiery nature of the energy just generally this week. Do be a bit careful. Here's the thing. We have Jupiter and Venus in an opposition to start the week. The moon is there as well. Venus and Jupiter in opposition, it's generally like a pretty positive contact. Like it can make us feel confident. This is another like confidence giving aspect. It can make us feel kind of like optimistic, hopeful. It can really look like things are going in the right direction, like big expectations, high hopes and stuff. But because Venus is in Sag right now, that means that Venus shortly, in a few days after coming into this opposition with Jupiter, is going to hit the square to Neptune. And that, I mean, Venus and Neptune, they never really bring the worst results, but it's just not it can be a bit just disappointing, okay? Kind of like depressing. It's like our vision of things is just like not coming, like into fruition the way that it should. Okay, when we have a Venus square Neptune, it can also bring breakdowns in relationships. It can bring breakdowns in like financial stuff, like even if it was like financial, okay, like to put it that way, because Venus rules money and finance and stuff like that. And also like be careful spending too much money, just like overindulging, overdoing it earlier in the week, that then comes to some type of disappointment or breakdown or makes us like lack confidence or like our vision doesn't come to fruition somehow. So I'm saying, I just kind of want to preface, like, not to get too carried away, not to be overly optimistic about things going our way, even if they're looking pretty good to get the week started. And I don't mean to say that they won't, because they still could. Like, I'm not trying to be, you know, discouraging or to rain on your parade. You know, they very well could work out. This Venus-Jupiter energy does bring blessings and good luck and good fortune. And fated things that need to happen are happening right now, for sure. But as I said, you know, I feel like in this eye of the storm energy, there are some big Uranian shakeups coming next week in Venus's other sign. We're going to have the full moon in Taurus conjunct Uranus, and we do have Venus moving into square with Neptune as we get through the week. So if we just like overcommit or overpromise or overinvest based on things looking good, being maybe a little overly optimistic to get the week started, there could be some breakdown, some deterioration, some just things not lining up the way that they said they would, or they looked like they were going to, or we thought that they were going to, or we thought that they would as the week started. So just a note to maybe keep in mind whatever you got going on out there. But things, more shakeups are coming, okay? Like I said, as we get into the energy of next week, these power and control dynamics are again going to become super, super prominent. Saturn is going to station direct next week, putting the emphasis again on the control dynamics of things, and Pluto is going to enter the sign of Aquarius. This is a monumental shift that we've got going on as well, bringing up power dynamics. And we've got the full moon that's going to happen in a tight conjunction to Uranus as well, which is talking about awakening, revelation. But again, this like sudden plot twist, things that we didn't see coming, shocking changes. And this is the sign of Taurus. So this could have to do with like financial markets and stuff like that, or resources or assets, or all types of things, and we'll get there. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself in this energy right now. We've got a lot that is still going to play out between now and then, but for now, there is, to some extent, especially maybe as we get through this week, I feel like kind of like a little bit of like an energetic hold on the week somehow. Big emotional engagement is likely, though. Things, especially to start the week, as I said, do feel somewhat favorable, but there could be like lots of spilling over, lots of spilling out with the Sagittarius moon conjuncting Venus, like lots of expressions of feelings and emotions and stuff going on, and desires as well, what we want, what we're passionate about. As I've been saying, this Venus-Jupiter opposition with Venus in the sign of Sagittarius does want it all. It wants the fullness of expression and experience, and like that's the true desire, and also truth. Okay, truth, integrity, honor, like that is highly desirable when we've got this specific dynamic between Jupiter and Venus setting up, especially in the signs of Sagittarius and Gemini as well. Lots of connecting and conversing could be going on throughout this week, also with the Venus-Jupiter, Venus's connections and relationships and what's going on with other people. And Jupiter, of course, expands things. So there could just be a lot of like meetings and interactions and get-togethers and people talking and sharing and, you know, as I said, connecting and conversing. But be careful, right, with the over-promising, over-committing, especially in the beginning of the week. Just something to keep in mind. But definitely, again, like passions running high, feisty energy, people fired up, and people willing to fight for their loyalties, their pride, like to the death in this energy, unfortunately, because of the Mars-Pluto opposition. And we are definitely standing up for ourselves. I would not go around provoking people if you don't want to get like a real smackdown, if you're not prepared to face that challenge, okay? And just, you know, one other point of note, I want to say specifically about this 0-degree Leo Mars placement, that can be loose cannon energy in some very like explosive ways. The Sabian symbol of 0 degrees of Leo, which we count as 1 degree in terms of the symbolic placement, that degree placement is under emotional stress, blood rushes to a man's head. And with Mars and the sun and mutual reception and Leo and Scorpio, and the moon with Venus, this fire moon that we have going on opposite Jupiter, and of course Mars just being in the sign of Leo and at that degree, and also opposite Pluto, and also Jupiter at that 21 degrees of Gemini right now, the tumultuous labor demonstration. I just feel like really like all the elements are here, like all signs are sort of pointing to, again, rebellion, civil unrest, confrontation, people unwilling to stand down, especially if they feel that something is being impinged upon, or just overly restrictive or overly controlling or corrupt in some type of a way. Also, the Sun, Scorpio, Saturn, Pisces trine is also indicating to me people and situations that are out of control. Again, with the Saturn retrograding in the sign of Pisces, this is a breakdown in authority. This is breakdown in control. And with the Mars, Sun, you know, mutual reception dynamic, and Mars at that 0 degree of Leo, first of all, literal fires that are out of control could be happening right now. Be careful around fire, using fire generally. People could be spewing fire without restraint, without consideration, and also things could be like spreading like wildfire. So all of these sort of little phrases and ideas that have references to fire probably all kind of like apply and are relevant right now. Even honestly, like generally well-balanced people may struggle to keep it together, temper, anger, passion, attitude, as we start this week specifically with Mars at that 0 degree and just all of this fire stuff going on. But again, very, very potent creative force. Be creative, not destructive, unless you must first destroy in order to create. Creative destruction, but not destructive destruction. Okay, we want to clear our space to make room for growth, but we don't want to just like blow everything up and demolish it and make our path forward more difficult than it needs to be, unless that is the karmic path and that is the hero's journey that you are being called forth on right now, because God knows more than I do, and I am positive of that, and you should be too. So we're clearing things out, but I guess you know what to do with the rest of it. But I do think this is a more future-oriented energy, and the more that we can kind of like focus our energy on creativity in the context of the future, we're probably going to be better off right now. Plan your next moves, plan your next steps, be strategic. Learn something new this week also with the Venus-Jupiter opposition and the moon coming there. Embracing learning, embracing growth, embracing like mental expansion, learning a new skill, especially if it's something that is of interest to you or maybe something that you wanted to learn or know for a while. This is a really good week to use this energy. This is also, of course, detective energy. We're still in really strong Scorpio energy, digging for truth, getting to the bottom of things, lifting up the hood, figuring out the gears in the machine and how it all comes together and how it all works. Never been a better time for that. So engage in that type of behavior as well. Broaden, expand, deepen your knowledge about stuff. This is going to help out somehow in the future moving forward, and focus on the vision that you wish to create, right? We've got the sun on Monday at that 13 degrees Scorpio position. The inventor performs a laboratory experiment. You know, we're trying things out in regards to what perhaps we could create moving forward. We also, the nodes of the moon finally moved, you guys. For the longest time, we had the nodes at 7 degrees of Aries and Libra. They have now moved to 6 degrees of Aries and Libra. The nodes always move backwards. And we have the south node right now at 6 degrees of the sign of Libra. That Sabian symbol is a man watches his ideals taking a concrete form before his inner vision. With all of this water sign energy that we have going on right now as well, you guys, this trine between the sun and Saturn retrograde, this is, and again, the future focus, the Mars, Venus, the creative force energy for, I keep talking about how the foundations of the past are what are falling away right now. We also have to figure out how to build the new foundations that are going to lay the framework for this next 2,000-year age that is coming in as well. So we need to be oriented around what we're going to build. Like I said, not just what is falling away right now or what we're being released from or what's going through a process of breakdown. And, you know, like I said, that nodal position is talking about that as well. The north node is at 6 degrees of Aries, a square brightly lighted on one side. Whenever this symbol comes up to me, I always think that a solution is coming, because in astrology, the square represents a challenge and a conflict where a breakthrough needs to be made in order to essentially like solve the problem, figure out the solution. And with the square brightly lighted on one side, I always feel like there is like an inherent answer that is provided in whatever situations we're about to be moving through. So, and the man, and then the oppositional point to that, the south node, the man watches his ideals taking concrete form before his inner vision. And then we have this water trine between the sun and Scorpio and Saturn and Pisces. The ability of us to kind of merge the internal vision that we've got going on with the seeds that we're planting now with this Venus Mars energy, real potent, real powerful. What I'm trying to say, this is strong manifestation energy. As potent as the destruction energy is right now, this is very strong manifestation energy as well. Hence Scorpio, you guys, in this Phoenix rising death and rebirth energy. Yes, we're in a time of the death of the old world and destruction of that which was, but the potential to manifest something that is even greater, or something that is even, again, it's this energy of liberation and knowledge and wisdom and truth that's coming in right now. That is very potent as well. So we are defining the ways that we're going to be doing our lives moving forward, who we're going to be moving forward, how we're going to express our creativity and potential moving forward, what our like role and contribution and service is going to be to the greater good and overall whole moving forward. That is another thing that this Aquarius energy is really going to call forth out of us as we move through this period of time, which we'll be talking about more and more as we do head into this stronger Aquarian energy that is incoming right now. But the square, the north node at the square brightly lighted on one side, answers are coming, solutions are coming. We're gonna figure out, we're gonna get the light bulb moment, right? We're going to figure out how to get out of whatever, or how to overcome or get out of whatever challenge we're facing, or whatever box we felt contained within. It's happening. It's here, you guys. This is the time. So try to channel this firepower creatively, not through the anger, not through the ego, which will be the kind of like instinctual urge here. But do absolutely stand up for yourself and fight back when necessary, because if there has ever been a time for that type of thing to be going on, this is definitely it. To recap, we have Mars opposite Pluto. That's huge, that's powerful, but that activation is also complete, and it is going to begin to wane as of Monday this week. Mars in Leo, now in mutual reception with the Sun in Scorpio, the Sun in a trine to Saturn retrograding in Pisces, and the Moon in Sagittarius conjunct Venus in Sagittarius opposite Jupiter in Gemini, all happening on Monday, all happening to get us started this week. Basically, the energetic imprint for the week, essentially the same energy is going to be going on Tuesday. The Moon will just have moved further through the sign of Sagittarius and will be preparing to enter Capricorn again for either Wednesday or Thursday. Maybe it's even on Friday. I'm not exactly sure. I got to look at it, but sometime, and I'll be talking about it in another video, probably the next video that I put out. But the Moon will be heading through Capricorn towards conjunction with Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn for the last time for 250 years. That'll also be a very culminating energy that we have going on, because on November 18th, I believe it is, Pluto is leaving Capricorn, entering Aquarius once and for all. So next month and moving forward for the next 20 years, all of the Moon Pluto conjunctions will be in the sign of Aquarius. So again, this is a very like culminating energy that the Moon and Pluto are going to be bringing to us as we do head through this week. And then, like I said, as we get through the week, Venus will also square Neptune as well, which could just be making things a little bit iffy out there. But that's pretty much what I'm looking at as we head into the weekend. And the drama of next week, which is definitely going to be there. So the eye of the storm this week, you guys, things may seem a little less all over the place, but don't worry, we're going to have some more interesting energy coming at us again next week, though things could definitely, and people could definitely be popping off this week with the Mars-Pluto still hanging on there real tight, and Mars now in the sign of Leo that is firing literally everything up. This is very fixated, also motivated. We're talking about another fixed sign. When we have fixed sign energy going on, that's some stubborn energy. That is some dug in energy. Good luck like getting Mars and Leo off of its course when it's like set its sights and intentions on something, okay? So, but I do want to say, and that's for the Mars Leo generally. Another thing though about this 0 degree Leo Mars that I've personally noticed by knowing people with Mars at 0 degrees of Leo, it can have a tendency to burn itself out a bit. It can resonate to sort of like the all bark and no bite type of energy. It is very, very emotionally reactive. So if you're dealing with somebody that seems to be embodying this 0 degree Mars Leo energy, and they're just really talking a big game, or maybe like making threats, or just seeming very, you know, again, like the big bark type of energy, there can maybe perhaps not be a whole lot of follow through behind it. So just choose accordingly how you deal with that. Okay, but let's us hold it together this week, you guys. I believe in you. I believe that we can do it, and we're gonna make the best of this energy that we've got going on. So that is what I have to say, you guys, in terms of our astrology as we're getting started on the week. Let's now talk about the tarot for a little bit. We've got kind of a disjointed tarot message coming out today, but we're going to put it all together and see what we can come up with. First of all, there could really be some fears, worries, stresses, anxieties going on based on what we don't know, based on the unknown. Fear of the unknown could really be keeping some people up and just keeping us in a place maybe of some unrest this week. We've also got energy that is talking about repressed emotions, I feel like, coming out. It's like something that we've got the Hermit in reverse, we've got the Three of Swords in reverse, and then we've got the Ten of Wands in reverse. The Three of Swords in reverse is about healing. Ten of Wands is in reverse is about like laying down some burden, and the Hermit in reverse is about having like finished or reached a place of like inner illumination, like coming out of a phase of being withdrawn. So there again, and all these cards are upside down, so there could be reversals going on, both in like we could be coming to a point where we're finally healing from something and letting something go that has been really weighing on us, holding us down, burdening us, causing us pain, and keeping us trapped in perhaps cycles that have been disconnecting us from our authentic like ability to create and our authentic maybe like truth or purpose, or again like keeping us in a debilitated state. That's what this is referring to me. It's like something that we're discovering, something that we figured out, something that we've been enlightened by or to, having reached a point of conclusion or culmination that is now allowing us to release what's been holding us back or debilitating us in some level up until this point of time. Next, we've got two other cards here. We've got the Three of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles. This is talking about some collaborative effort that is actually paying off. Working together, joining forces in a way that is productive and fruitful and successful and leads to a point of stability and abundance. On the back of the deck, we've got the Two of Swords. Not knowing what to do, lack of clarity, unsure what's really going on, what choice to make, what direction to go in. So when we put all of this together, you know, fear of the unknown, the subconscious mind, the contents of the subconscious mind, with the Moon and the Nine of Swords coming out like that, and then the Three of Swords and the Ten of Wands in reverse with the Hermit, this could be illuminating maybe something that has been in the dark recesses of our mind, that has been maybe unconsciously or subconsciously keeping us trapped in like a state of fear or worry or burden or like wounds that never heal or something like that. And we're coming to find or discover in this Sun, Mars, mutual reception, Scorpio, Leo energy, what that is and what we need to drop off, let go of, maybe in order to finally begin a process of healing. Maybe there could be, with this Venus Jupiter energy, some good, positive, lucky connections, individuals, partnerships, collaborative efforts that are coming in right now to help us reestablish ourselves or reestablish a sense of value also. So I don't know, you know, this is, like I said, it's kind of a disjointed message. There could be different ways that it applies. But the positive feature of this message as having reached an ending in some search for something that had been, you know, rooted in wounding and burden and maybe overwhelm that is not going to be going with us going forward somehow, and some type of group or collaborative or partnership or connection, relationship based situation perhaps that is supporting like a restoration of our true value or worth, or that is helping us to grow or build something that is going to be productive and of value and stabilizing or securing somehow. So I don't know. I mean, Jupiter and Venus, that like I said, that is the right people, like good people, coming in to work together to do something successfully, to get a win, to get a victory in a way that stabilizes and empowers somehow. So all over the board today, you guys. Maybe some of that applied to some of you. I don't know. Let's get, it's wild times that we are living through right now. We're going to get a synchronicity card right now. God, Spirit, Universe, what is one final additional piece of advice or guidance we can use, we should use as we move through our week, navigate our path ahead, face whatever challenges are before us, and what should we just be aware of or keep in mind or know? Change your thoughts, you guys. There it is. And it shall prosper in the thing for which I sent it, Isaiah 55:11. Whatever seed you plant will come back to you in its fruit. If you plant a bitter seed, you will get a bitter fruit. Sweetness will beget sweetness. Likewise, flavor your thoughts and your speech with sweetness, that you may dwell in a sweet life. Holding to your present thoughts will bring you unhappiness. So basically, to me, this means we need to do our absolute best to skew positive in our mind this week, despite maybe what's going on around us, despite the appearance of things on the surface, especially as we get through the week. But even to start the week, I mean, as I said, we are in the heights of energetic intensity and confrontation and contention. So the more that we can consciously be aware of that what we're putting out there is what is going to grow, and, you know, try to do that in a way that is, again, like creation for like that which is going to be beneficial for us, and not creating which is that which is going to be destructive. As basically what I was saying earlier, you guys, we want to use this energy for to benefit what we're trying to bring in right now, and not to just like wipe everything out, whether it's meant to be there or not. So anyways, that's what we got. Change your thoughts, message from the stars, message from the cards. I hope you guys liked it. If you did like the show, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, you guys, share it with your friends if you think they would also enjoy this type of astrology content. Leave me comments, you guys. I am so grateful for your presence here, for what you guys have to say, for your contributions to my channel. If you are having experiences that do line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. If you want to know what's on this whiteboard, I have a Facebook group where I post images of my boards. You will find that linked in my description box below. And come back with me on Wednesday, you guys. We will be picking up where we left off today. We will have more energy to get into as we move through the week. Like I said, we've got another one of these like once in 250-year alignments coming up here. But it's gonna be with the moon and Pluto. I'll be talking about it. I'll be talking about the rest of the energy all week. You should be here too. You don't want to miss it. I will see you then, guys. Have a beautiful start to your week. And until next time, bye.